And just like that, we are ready for the very last spread in my bullet journal because we're the last month of the year. Hi, I'm Becca. I'm an elementary music teacher and a online entrepreneur, and here on this channel we talk all about how to manage lots of stuff, and that includes planning. The way that I like to plan is a combination of my bullet journal, which you're going to see me set up here, as well as just a regular notebook that I use for to-do lists daily. I use my bullet journal for planning for the business, planning for my life, trying to kind of figure things out and figure out how I'm going to get things done, as well as a lot of self-care. So let's get into this very last spread of the year. I've been using a Primrosia watercolor bullet journal all year long and all of last year. It actually was a last minute thing last year because I waited too long and all of the notebooks I wanted were unavailable. And so I found this random one on Amazon, loved it so much. I bought it again this year, and spoiler alert, I love it so much that I'm probably going to buy it again for next year. I love the feeling of the paper. It's really soft, which I love, and it's a little bit of a cream, which I didn't think I would like, but I actually really do like. And I love that it can take watercolor paper. Because of that, as you see, we are using watercolor and we are going to be skipping around. As far as supplies goes for this and theme, theme is really just Christmas. I was just going with like presents and ornaments and trees and just Christmas, just fun. I just really needed some whimsy, and so here we are. As far as the supplies go, I'm going to be using those 3 pens that are over there on the right. Those are Flair pens. They are not water soluble, just so you know, but I'm using those. I'm using some Pitt pens, and then I'm using this watercolor. This one is new to me, and so I'm not totally like comfortable with it yet, so you'll see I don't always have like the very best time with it. Like, I'm not used to the water versus paint ratio of this paint in particular, but I'm getting there, so I thought it would be a good idea to use it. In this notebook, I would say most of my spreads have been paint, some watercolor, some acrylic, and a few of them have not, and I'm gonna be honest, the ones that were not paint, I didn't like as much, which is part of the reason why I'm thinking about buying this same exact journal for next year, because I just really have enjoyed using paint and making things pretty in that way, and so I want to continue that. I also love that it forces me to stop, to slow down, and to make sure that I am doing something that I love every month, which would be painting, because I love painting, I love art, just all of that kind of stuff. As far as what I'm doing on this first page, I'm adding a tree, as you can see, which is actually really, really easy. What I'm doing is I just take one color green, and I have like lines in pencil, and I'm just going out and adding like flicks essentially off of the pencil line to be the pine needles, and you just kind of make it like messy and loose. They all need to go in a downward direction, but some to the right, some to the left, some like in the middle, just kind of all over the place. And then I'm picking a different green to add to it, and the variety of greens gives it a little bit more texture and interest. I'm not super worried about making it look like realistic. I just want you to be a little bit like, oh, look, it's a Christmas tree. So that's really all we're doing here. So I got that done and added some brown for the tree trunk. This page over here on the left is going to be one of my planning pages. So typically what I do is I have goals for the month, like my main things I'm working on, and then I'll have each week represented. I only have 3 weeks represented because if you didn't notice, this video went up kind of late. I actually was like a whole week into December before I made this, but you know what, it's fine. And so I'm gonna put actually the goals in the ornaments there. I had a different plan, but I decided that that would work fine. I just have to write really small because that's not what I was planning to do with the ornaments, but it'll be fun. And maybe we can like color them in once I, do them or something. I don't know. I did some watercolor on the right page. That page is going to be my calendar page. I have like a sticker calendar that I'm going to stick in, so I haven't done that yet. And then I'm adding just like an outline for the 3 presents underneath the tree. So each quote unquote present is going to be one of my week's plans, and that's obviously like the short version. It's not every single thing I need to do, but I'll write that in my notebook. I cheated a little bit, and I did some of this last night before you saw this. And so specifically, I have this page is on a separate sheet of watercolor paper. First of all, because I had a different plan. Secondly, because I find it helps if you're using watercolor to let some pages dry while you paint on something else. So I will use pages of watercolor paper as well as paint directly into my notebook. And so that way the watercolor in the notebook is currently drying as I am painting this next page. As far as little circles, those are just with those flare pens, and then I just used a black pen to make the lines going up. And I'm doing the same system that I had for the other tree, where I just have a line down the middle, and then I'm just going off of those lines and going right and left and center and all over the place. I'm currently erasing some pencil lines, which is always the bane of my existence. I actually hate using pencil first, but sometimes it's a necessary evil. And now we're going to get onto what I'm considering my cover spread. So this is just purely to be pretty, and I wanted it to look like a present. So this is supposed to be like a wrapped present, essentially. The nice thing about that is that it meant that all these little like images that I have here are supposed to be like printed images, like on the wrapping paper, which means they can be 2D, so I didn't have to stress about like making them really pretty or making them look 3D, because I didn't need to, because they're supposed to be graphic. So I just drew like a little bow in the middle and then lines going out to the ribbon, and then I have trees, gingerbread men, and candy canes drawn all around. I covered all of those things with a black Pitt pen so that way I could paint, and that is waterproof. I will link it down below. And then I am going over it with the paint. I started out with this like really, really limey, like almost grinchy green. Then I decided, as you can see here, I was like, it's a little bit too yellow. I was hoping it was going to be more like that piece of paper on the table, and so I went back with a more like teal color and kind of made my own little mixture, which is fun because then you get like the mixture of the colors, and then some parts where it's more one color or more the other color, which is my favorite thing about watercolor, is the way that it like has a mind of its own and it really mixes and makes things all nice and pretty. I'm going to let that dry while I go back to this page and work on whatever I can. So, you know, with watercolor, you got to let some of it dry and then you can come back and add some more. So I'm just going through and erasing pencil lines, and then I'm adding my little ornaments with the flare pens. These flare pens are not water soluble. So what that means is if they get water on them, they will bleed, which I knew that going in. I wasn't expecting them to be water soluble, but I just want to let you know in case you were not aware. So I'm just making little circles. As you can see, they are not perfectly round. I was not in the mood to care. In general, with my bullet journal, I'm not too fussy. I don't usually post my bullet journal videos online, which means that I, you know, don't have to be fussy. I can do really whatever I want. And usually nobody looks at it except for myself. So then we're going to add with just this little like paint pen, some bows. I kind of wish I'd use something different because I don't love this particular color, but it worked. It was fine. It's from the same brand as my journal. I'm not obsessed with them, but it got the job done. And then I added some gold to the top of the little ornament things, and then we just need to add some little hooks, and that page is done. I am happy to report that this is probably my favorite ever December setup. I really liked my one last year, which I can link down below, but I feel like the one last year, the idea was great, but the execution wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. This one, I feel like turned out as well as I wanted it to. Like, I was very happy with the way that this one turned out, and it's so bright and colorful and cheery, and I just needed some fun and some whimsy. So I'm on the next page. As you saw, those circles were already down. For these, I did trace like a cup or something and just went around. And this is my present planner page. So I have one ornament, one circle for each like category. So I have my family, I have husband's family, I have husband, and then I have other. So like Secret Santa gifts or kids at church or just different things like that. And then up at the top, I'm just adding a little pine branch so that I can connect the ornaments to the pine branch and make it look like they, are hanging off of a pine branch on the tree. So it's really not complicated. If you're looking for something easy, this is easy. And you could totally take it into January with at least the pine like evergreen situation. Maybe not the ornaments, but the evergreen situation you could definitely take. Maybe you could do like pine cones. That could be fun. And as you can see, I also just varied the green colors to add a little interest and make it more fun. In general, I tried to make the brighter green on the top and some darker green on the bottom, but honestly, I was not too worried about it, so I was kind of just going for it anyway. And then I'm pulling out this metallic watercolor. My mom got me this for Christmas, I think last year, so I don't know if I can link it, but I'll see if I can find it or something similar. And I'm just going over and adding a metallic there because I didn't like the color of that paint pen on the other page. I also didn't love this color. I wanted it to be a little brighter, this little more bronzy. So here I'm trying to like mix it with a brighter gold, but it's fine. It's fine. And we're going to let that dry while we work on something else. Specifically, we're going to add some more shine to these ornaments over here. You are a bullet journaler, I would love to know if you already have your theme planned out for next year, and I especially would love to know where your bullet journal is from and like what type it is. And if you know of anywhere that does watercolor journals that are not super expensive, let me know, because I did find like one company. I have been searching and searching and searching. I found one company that had watercolor journals, but the shipping to where I live was just obnoxious, and I was not going to pay more for shipping than for the actual bullet journal. So I did not end up buying that one. Here I'm just going back because this page is now dry. This is just regular watercolor paper. I just get it from Michael's, and I'm adding the red onto the bow. So I went over with just like a light wash, and then I'm going to go over with a darker shade of red. It's almost more like a burgundy color, and add some interest in the middle and just kind of let that bleed out to make it look a little bit less flat. So, when you have a bow kind of in the middle, there's like those lines, and that's kind of what I'm going for. And then a little bit like on the edges and just things like that to try to make it look a little more 3D, look a little more interesting, without getting super crazy. All in all, this theme did not take me very long. Before I cut any of the footage out, I think it was like 40 minutes, which might seem like a lot to some people, but a lot of that is, waiting for stuff to dry. And so I feel like it is not that long, actually. I've definitely had themes that took a lot longer. And again, I really enjoy this, and it's just a nice way for me to like sit down and make sure I'm actually doing things for me once a month. Yeah, month. Now I'm going over and painting all these little things. So first of all, I have the trees. I went with like a dark green since I have like a lighter green on the background. And again, this is about the point that I realized, ooh, these are 2D. I don't even have to worry about making them look 3D because they're supposed to be printed on the wrapping paper. Then I'm going over with some brown for the little gingerbread men and adding those in. And then I'm going to add some stripes with red on the candy canes. to see my vision come to life. So if you didn't notice at the beginning, I am at the very, very end of my bullet journal. This is literally the last 3 spreads in the whole journal. And I was like, I don't even have enough pages for December. So I was trying to add extra pages, and that is why I did that little present right here, because I'm going to put it on top because I really wanted like a really pretty, fun cover page for December, but I also really needed a calendar. And so it was like, I didn't have enough room for both, so I decided to do this. So I'm just adding double stick tape on the back top part of this present, and I'm gonna tape it to the top part of the page, and then I'm just gonna fold it, and that's how I'm gonna get to my calendar. Then after I added it, I just cut the extra, trimmed the extra off the edges to make it look a little bit more like it goes in with the other pages and it's not like awkwardly too big. And then we have a little like faux Dutch door situation. Look. Oh, I thought I was going to show you. Nope, you gotta wait. Okay. Ooh, there we go. So now I can use my calendar, but then I also have this really pretty cover page. Now, my plan was to do that with the other side also, but I kind of liked the way that the tree looked better than the other page. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use this for my goals and my weeks page. And I remembered that one of those was supposed to be like a countdown to Christmas, but I don't need a countdown to Christmas because I can barely keep up with the advent calendar that I do have. So I decided instead that I would put it on this back page because, as you can see, there's a bunch of pen marks. I told you these are my last 3 spreads in the entire bullet journal. So this last page is like one of those weird, like stuck to the other pages. And I've been using it as a like pen swatching page because I didn't think that I was going to need every single page in this entire bullet journal, which is great, you know, waste not, want not. But I decided to tape it there to cover up all of those little pen swatches. And then on the left, I decided to add this green paper just for fun because I just felt like it needed something, but I didn't know what, and I didn't want to paint anything else because I was just kind of like, you know, ready to be done at this point. So I'm putting that in there and I'm going to cut around it. And these 2 pages I'm going to use for December memories. So I might need both. I might only need one. It just kind of depends. I don't really know. Depending on like how many pictures we take and all of that kind of stuff. But having 2 pages is helpful, especially during the holiday season when there's like a lot more stuff going on. So I'm trimming around the edges, and then these 2 pages didn't really look like super cohesive. So how I'm fixing that is I am adding a header. So I'm just putting like December memories. I'm using a gold, I think this is a zebra pen, and it's gold metallic brush pen. I love these. It came in a pack. And so I'm intentionally putting the header across both pages so that way they feel a little more like they go together. And then I'm going to literally connect them with a little outline all the way around. I find this is like the easiest way to get 2 pages to look like they go together is to literally connect them with lines. So I'm just drawing a line all the way around and trying to avoid all of the, you know, little decorations that are on the edges. And then we're going to go and add the same decoration we had on the other page to this page. I know we're all out of order, but you know, it was all about getting that paint to dry. So here we're just going to add another little branch of pine needles, and then we will be pretty much good to go. This page is my like low-key bucket list. I usually do a bucket list, but this year I was like, I don't have it in me to do a bucket list because it just seems like more stuff I need to do. So instead I have a couple different things. So the first circle says Christmasing, which is kind of my bucket list. That's where I'm going to put things like bake cookies, watch, you know, the Santa Claus, like those kind of things I want to do. And then the other page is for DIY and other things that I need to do. is the final flip through. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I hope you stick around for 2026, and I hope it's a good one. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and a wonderful start to your new year, and I'll see you there.